Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Krashy, and today we're going to be updating our solo queue tier list, and this is with Tyranitar out. So Tyranitar's been out for a little bit, and here's the thing. I know that we're like leaving this map soon, and I know that things might change, but I want to get this one out, and then if we need to readjust, we can do that. So we're going to do lane tier list first. We're going to do jungle tier list after. Let's go ahead and dive into it. So I am, gonna start with all-rounders, I guess. I never really know where to start, and I'm gonna try to make this quick too. Starting off, TSAREENA, S tier laner. I'm torn about this placement. I don't think it really matters, but I think that personally for me, TSAREENA just stands above the other two amazing lane all-rounders. So I feel comfortable putting Machamp and Lucario together. Lucario's still amazing. I think Machamp might slightly be better than him, slightly, but it just comes down to like play style and like what you're trying to do at that point. They're just slightly different. So in my mind, TSAREENA full stacking like takes complete advantage of laning. It is insanely strong. These other two are just really strong behind it, and I feel mostly comfortable with that, if you ask me. Now this next one is weird because Aegislash is incredibly strong, but I personally hate laning it. You can do it, it's done on a competitive level. It's just like the early side of it, like the really early section of it is really bad, but he scales amazingly. So I'm kind of leaning this part of the tier list on the fact that like his laning phase itself is not the best. And that's the thing about this tier list. It's like some of the factors are how strong the Pokemon are. Some of the factors are how strong the laning phase is, or how strong it is in jungle. And it's just a little interpretive. I'm sure there's a better way I could do these, but this is the way that I'm doing it. So just bear with me. I'm trying to give the best information that I can. Yeah. As for this all-rounder, it's not good in lane. It's not the worst thing in the world. That's why there's a D tier, but it's not very good in lane, and neither is Garchomp. Garchomp is, first of all, not very good, and Charizard has ult issues, but Charizard in lane is, it's, again, you can make it work. I know anybody can make it work. Not very good. Garchomp itself is not very good, and then it struggles in the laning phase. Dragonite, however, I think is like, it's good, but you want jungle so you can guarantee you're level 8, and it's okay in lane, right? It's just okay. It doesn't particularly do anything too crazy in lane. But yeah, you can kind of make it work. Tyranitar in lane is just like okay too. I think it's pretty good. I think Tyranitar itself, his strength is pulling it up. If Tyranitar wasn't super strong, it'd probably be down like on B+ tier or something like that, but it's very strong. That said, yeah, this is going to hit pretty high on the jungle list. I'll just get that out of the way. I think that's pretty important. And Buzzwole is kind of like Dragonite for me. It's like Buzzwole itself is just okay in my opinion, and I don't think its laning phase is anything super crazy. But yeah, it's just kind of okay. And there's another Azumarill. Azumarill is same thing. It's just okay. I think it's fine. I know there's going to be preference for Azumarill higher. People like Azumarill, and that's, yeah, I just think in general it's an okay Pokemon, and it does okay in lane. So yeah. All right, let's jump to supports. Let's go ahead and get this out of the way. Hoopa and Blissey, they're S tier supports. I mean, they are meta changing, game changing. I mean, these three Pokemon are some of the most impactful Pokemon in the entire game, and they are used in lane. So bottom lane, top lane, doesn't matter where you take them, doesn't matter how you build them really. They're just incredibly impactful and super strong. If you're wanting to be a support player or even like a tank player, Blissey kind of fills that archetype too a little bit. Then yeah, you want to pick up one of these. As for Wigglytuff is not, she's not the worst thing in the world. She just has like fallen a lot, and in solo queue you definitely need teamwork, so you'll have to be on like the duo trio side of things. I mean, that's obviously the same for any support really, but Wiggly is like okay. She's kind of making a slight resurgence. I'm probably thinking somewhere around B+. I'm gonna stick her like very bottom B+, which is like high B. So Wiggly is just okay in lane. You know, you're not gonna get anything too crazy out of it. And Mime is like the same thing. It's like high B, B+. This Pokemon does a little bit of damage. It's like a little bit better for solo queue, and it brings a nice Unite move to the table. It's just not the strongest thing in the world. So yeah, there's that. All right, let's go ahead and get into attackers. All right, boom, boom, boom. These attackers are quite simply terrible in lane. You can do it. And here's the thing, it's not about the strength of the Pokemon. This is the strength of the laning phase. They just aren't, they put you so far behind trying to get these characters farm and lane. You want to get Unite moves. You want to be ahead on these Pokemon. They need jungle. it's just rough. It's really, really rough for these Pokemon. So I would definitely advise against this personally. If you are looking to play these Pokemon, please go into the jungle. All right, as for Duraludon, surprisingly, this is not about the strength of the character, because all three of these characters, in my opinion, are stronger than Duraludon. This comes down to the strength of the laning phase. Duraludon's okay in lane. It's not a useless Pokemon. It's just okay. So B tier it is for Duraludon. I just think it's just okay. In my opinion, there's only maybe like 1 or 2 lane Pokemon that are attackers that I think are really, really good in the laning phase, and that's Venusaur. Venusaur has consistently been really good in the laning phase. And it's a little weird because I think that might be the only Pokemon that I put in A+. A part of me wants to put Graham, maybe Delphox, but they end up hitting really high on the jungle list in my opinion, so I don't know. I'm thinking about just kind of stacking this A tier with a lot of really good laning attackers, because Pikachu, Ninetales incredibly strong early to mid, and then they kind of fall off. Delphox, Cram are like, they're okay early. Cram's pretty damn good early. Delphox is just okay early, and then they scale mid to late pretty decently. That said, I think Venusaur is like kind of a clear winner. Maybe Cram could bounce around here. And the Venusaur, it's mostly because of scaling. Like it does good in the laning phase, but then scales really, really well. And it's great to have a Venusaur on your team. This is a little bit of a weird one here. I kind of want to do something like this. Maybe something like this is a little bit more accurate because the Pokemon themselves are just better. But the laning phase of Pika and Ninetales is stronger. So it's a little weird with these 3 or so, 4 or so picks. I'm feeling something like this, so bear with me. Either take it like this or take it like this. I don't think it matters too much. Y'all know I do that a little bit from time to time. And Sylveon in lane, you know, I think it's good. It's just, I feel like Sylveon needs that like early help. You just have to know what Sylveon can do, and like hopefully have some help to get that level 4. Once you get level 4, Sylveon can kind of start taking over in the laning phase. Really, really strong Pokemon. Glaceon in lane, I don't really care for it too much. Not a huge fan of it, but I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. I'm gonna put it B+ tier. I don't know. Like I said, I'm just not super sold on it, and it's kind of the same with Espeon to me. And yeah, this is just like, they're just okay. They're passable in lane. You can do good with them. Glaceon scales way better and is like a really good Pokemon. Espeon doesn't do that much for the game, but the laning phase is actually good. So this B+ positioning for Glaceon is like because the Pokemon's good. This B+ positioning for Espeon is because like the laning phase is good, which is funny. And then as for Decidueye, it's kind of like a perfect mix. Like it just hits it right in the middle. Decidueye is like okay Pokemon, pretty good in lane, not crazy good in lane, but it just like hits that spot. Not too bad. Not too bad. All right, let's talk about the laning phase for speedsters. Talon's just not very good. It doesn't really scale well, doesn't have a good laning phase. It's pretty bad. It might be down here, actually. I don't know. I really hate Talon right now, but I'll just leave it here. It's whatever. I don't even want to think about it that much. Talon's just not very good for laning phase, is the best thing I can say. A couple of speedsters that I think are actually pretty decent for the laning phase are Zera and Absol. They're both not the strongest Pokemon right now, but they can get the job done, especially in solo queue, and they do pretty decent in laning phase, so definitely consider trying them out for laning phase if they're a preference of yours, if you really like them. And yeah, Gengar, however, the laning phase, it's so weird. I could put it here. The laning phase for Gengar is not great, but it's not the worst thing in the world, and it actually is better than these two speedsters. Or I could put it here because the laning phase is kind of poor. I'm gonna put it here because I think it outscales these other two laners, these other two speedsters, but the laning phase is not very good. So if you lane Gengar, you have to like meticulously lane it. Don't be greedy until level 5, right? Don't even try. And that's how you lane it. So kind of silly, but you can lane this Pokemon. I've done it. Seen Chris do it. You can do it. You just have to actually do it well. And this is sheerly on the strength of the Pokemon, not the laning phase. And I'm just putting that out there because that's how you kind of have to do it. As far as solo queue goes, Snorlax, it's just rough. It's rough to solo queue Snorlax. Snorlax is kind of making a resurgence again, especially with competitive, but solo queue, not so much. Not so much. Greedent, Slowbro, I think Revenant are phenomenal tanks in laning phase. if you're playing with friends, and obviously you don't want to solo queue tanks per se. Even Trevenant can just do lots of damage with a damage build. Slowbro has Scald build. Greedent's always been kind of like an all-rounder. Phenomenal tanks for the laning phase. I think A+ fits them perfectly. They can get a lot of work done, bring a lot to the team. Mamoswine is kind of like another Snorlax. It's just like, it's one of those like tanks, right? You need follow-up, you need help. But Crustle, ironically, I think is a little bit better just because you can do like crit Crustle damage build. He's basically like a defendery speedster. He's in like a category of his own, and I don't think he's good. I don't think Crustle's good, but I think it's manageable. It's okay. And Blastoise only wins a little bit higher up. Oh, I missed Eldegoss. Blastoise only wins a little bit higher up just because of its ult and the fact that it can do damage and chase people down, but its laning phase isn't very good. So this is kind of about the strength of the Pokemon in solo queue, specifically just doing damage. You can deal with the laning phase to hopefully bring some damage to the table. And then Eldegoss, I think, is like a solid laner, like a really solid laner. I missed that one. So not the best support Pokemon in the game, not useless. Looking at it, I feel mostly comfortable. The B tier, B+ tier is kind of just stacked because it's just like a bunch of okay Pokemon. And so when I make my tier list, I always want like A+, S+, or A+, and S to be the standouts, the ones that you really want to, the ones that you really want to be playing. All right, I'm going to pull these off really quickly. All right, we are back now with a reset tier list, and we are going to be diving into the jungle tier list. So let's go on ahead and get into it. I truly believe that S tier Tyranitar is the way to go. I guess I'm starting off with all-rounders. Tyranitar's nuts, or maybe I'll just get my S tier out of the way because I think that it's worth it. I think Tyranitar is nuts. I think this Pokemon is really, really strong in the jungle, and it's not strong until 9, so the laning phase is just not the best for it. But if you can get this Pokemon moving, get ahead, then you are going to stomp games. Yeah. Greninja and Gengar. These are the Pokemon that just carry solo queue so hard right now. And that's what it's all about. They're not the best Pokemon in the world. You're not going to see them always played at like 5-stack competitive major tourneys like Worlds or anything. But you can consistently play these in jungle and just like hard carry games. It's very, very, very strong. All right, now let's dive back to all-rounders. For all-rounders, I think that Dragonite is incredibly strong, and here's the reason why it's not like S tier, is because when you're flipping objectives with it, you still need like team presence. You need teams to like wrap around you, defend you, pressure the enemies, and sometimes you'll be playing Dragonite and your only goal is to like secure, like maybe you want to rip or something, and your team just dismantles around you and they just dogpile you and you die. So it's still incredibly strong, but it's like a little less manageable on your own. So yeah, playing it duo, maybe trio would be really, really good. But solo, a little bit down the list from where it probably deserves to be. It's probably an S tier jungler. It's just, you need a little bit of help. Aegislash, however, is incredibly strong, very self-sufficient, has burst, has secure, has high damage. I think that this thing is damn near an S tier pick. It's very, very strong in my opinion. I love it. I love Aegislash Jungle. I don't really like the laning phase of this Pokemon, like I said earlier, so Aegislash Jungle feels pretty damn good. Charizard Jungle, the only thing wrong with Charizard is its ult. Like, it just gets canceled, but Charizard can snowball team fights so hard. It doesn't have secure. That's like a downside of the Pokemon itself, but this is where you want this Pokemon to be, in the jungle, getting levels, pushing that level 9 Unite move, and then trying to like dominate fights. Yeah, that's how I feel. Now, this next one is a little bit weird. Machamp is going to hit the A tier with it as well because I think that he's a decent jungler. There's not really a reason to jungle him, but he's like actually surprisingly good. And with Machamp, like some of the other like lane all-rounders, you really want to be stacking an attack weight. I actually think Machamp's decent without one. Like, you can do full crit build with cross chop in jungle, you're going to be fine. So yeah, you can kind of substitute out an attack weight if you really want to, or you could try to get as many stacks in as you can. Sometimes I'll jungle like certain junglers with an attack weight, and you just try to get like at least 3 stacks and you're gonna be good. You're gonna be fine. I do think that Buzzwole is just okay as well. Like, this Pokemon has really good level 5 ganks, so your early presence on Buzzwole will be pretty good, and then if you can use that to snowball throughout the game, that's pretty solid. So something to think about. Yeah, Buzzwole, there you have it. There you have it. All right, as for, let's see, what are my other all-rounders? TSAREENA, I just don't think Lucario and TSAREENA are like the best junglers. They can do it fine. It just becomes that matter of like, well, why not just take them lane where they can dominate and get their attack weight stacks? So they're not bad junglers. You're just not going to get your attack weight stacks off of it, so it doesn't really make sense to jungle them per se. And honestly, Garchomp, as weird as it is, they're better than him, but he fits in kind of like this same tier just because of the fact that he's not that bad. He's actually decent in jungle, but the Pokemon itself is not that good. So this is because they would rather be in lane and get stronger. This is because he's actually just not that good, but his best role is kind of jungle in my opinion. So a little bit of a weird spot. And then Azumarill just fits in the same tier just because I don't think the Pokemon's that great. Like, it just feels like another like Garchomp. It's just like an all-rounder that's out there I'm not a huge fan of. Maybe it's a little bit better. I don't really tier from left to right. I'm just too lazy for that. But it's just Azumarill. It's okay. It's not the end of the world if it gets played, but it's not very impactful either. So yeah, some of my thoughts. All right, let's dive into attackers. I'm gonna just start slamming the good attackers or jungle in their position, and we'll talk about them. These jungle attackers are all really strong in my opinion, like super strong. Gardevoir can really get the ball rolling. You know, you get to your evolutions and you get your long range damage, you're starting to spam. You can get your level 9 Unite before Dread, you're really solid. Cram is like CDR Cram, and we know this is about to get changed, so this may be changing in the future. Same with Delphox CDR builds, but super high mobility, crazy damage, really strong Unite move. Same thing with Delphox, super high mobility if you're playing Flame Charge, really good CC if you're playing Fire Spin, really good Unite move, spammable because you're using Energy Amp, so it's just really nice. And then Cinder's just solid, really clean, solid jungler. You can't go wrong with Cinder. Glaceon is a really good jungler because you can get yourself ahead, get that early level 8 Unite move, and then impact the Dread fight super well. This Pokemon brings a lot of rip potential to the table and a lot of single target damage, so I think Glaceon's incredible. Maybe a little overpowered. Glaceon's really strong. Yeah. Another attacker that I don't think is super bad but not super great is Decidueye. I just don't think the Pokemon itself is that good. That said, in jungle, it gets the job done. You can do really well with this Pokemon. It's easy to get the ball rolling with this and to win games potentially. So yeah. Ironic enough, I think that Venusaur just like is this underrated jungler. Nobody ever jungles it because it can lane, but like if somebody wants to jungle Venusaur, you can get your Petal Giga like super fast. Like you're getting your levels fast. It's just that like the early gank isn't super impactful, and the mid game you're just like a Venusaur. Like Venusaur just feels the same all the time, but if you get levels on this Pokemon, that's where it takes over. So it can be really good in jungle. It's never like super good in jungle. Like a lot of these other Pokemon are super good in jungle. This is just, it's just good because Venusaur is good, you know? It doesn't do anything super special per se. Now this is strictly because of solo queue. I don't think that Sylveon is just like the best jungler ever. For competitive, there's a lot more reasons to pick Sylveon and ways to play around and with the Sylveon, but it's not like the worst jungler. It definitely gets the job done. I would rather have a Sylveon than a Decidueye, so they fit kind of like the same tier. Like they're both just fine. Sylveon I think is actually really good. Decidueye is kind of meh, but her jungle's like not great, but it's not bad. It's just fine. Like I don't know, it could even be here. I don't think it really matters. I'll probably put it here because I would actually rather prefer it to a Decidueye if I'm being honest. Sylveon jungle is fine. It gets the job done, brings great damage to the table with Hyper Voice. Yeah, Sylveon's fine. It's good. Espeon, however, it's just like it's eh. Like I would rather be Decidueye than Espeon probably. This Pokemon, I don't know. They're both just not very great. Espeon just doesn't really bring a ton to the table. It has a decent laning phase. It's not really much of a reason to jungle it. I guess you could rush the Unite move, so that's cool, I suppose. So, it's whatever. And Duraludon, I just think that this Pokemon's atrocious. It's not very good. I'd rather have a Decidueye. It gets the job done in jungle. You can get really aggressive with Flash Cannon and maybe, you know, have some good games with Dragon Pulse. But the Pokemon itself is just not super great. Not super great. Yeah. Now, for solo queue, I actually think that like Jungle Pika is not that bad, but I don't know if it's good enough to put above like Duraludon. Like it probably is. Jungle Pika is like surprisingly decent, but I'm not really advocating it for it. I think that whenever I look at these tier lists, I think it's like I'm always basically telling you to play A plus, and S tier, but Jungle Pika is like surprisingly good. And the main reason why is because you have like your Electroweb gank, and you have a really spammable Unite move. You can use an Energy Amplifier, get to level 9 quickly, and then use like 5 or 6 Unite moves in a game. So it's surprisingly decent, but I'm not really advocating for it too much. And then Ninetales is like, there's really not much of a reason to jungle Ninetales. It's probably better than these, so like maybe it fits here because the Pokemon itself I think is better than them, but like there's not really much of a reason to jungle Ninetales. So it's just a bit of a weird position for this Pokemon. Yeah. All right, let's do some supports. There's just no reason to really jungle them, but if you have to, I guess they're kind of okay. Like Jungle Mime is better than these junglers. Eldegoss is probably better than them, but there's just no reason to. C, like B down is like almost like the you probably shouldn't do it tier. B plus is like a it's okay, and then A plus or A plus and S tier, like yeah, you should be doing that. So yeah, Flail Lax Jungle, sure, whatever, you can do it. Scald, Revenant Jungle, like yeah, you can do these. Gradient Jungle, you can if you really want to. There's not really a reason to. Blastoise Jungle, however, is probably decent. Like, you can still do damage on this Pokemon, and it's better for solo queue than probably any other scenario. So, like, Blastoise Jungle, it's fine. Okay, Mamoswine Jungle, no. Talonflame, I think, is abysmal, so I just think the Pokemon's not very good. I wouldn't really recommend it, so, yeah. And then Speedster Junglers that are just okay, like, pretty solid. The jungle tier list is pretty simple. I think that there's a lot of really good picks that you can take in jungle, and then everything else is just like meh or no, don't do it. And again, like Greninja Jungle is probably fine. You can do it. It's just like, why? Why? There's too many good picks. Greninja Jungle in terms of strength is probably here because the Pokemon itself is good, but you'd rather stack. So like even when you're taking Greninja Jungle, it's like you're just missing out on damage that you could bring to the character. So I'm leaving it kind of low. And then B tier is just a bunch of the Pokemon that like they can do it, but like you shouldn't. C tier is like you definitely shouldn't, and then D tier is like no, never, no, never. So friends, there you have it. That's the jungle tier list, the lane tier list. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I want to keep this one as brief as possible. Drop a like on the video, subscribe for future Pokemon Unite content. As always, be sure to be kind to one another, tell someone you love them, and I'll see you on the next video.